Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. Today we're looking into Circle Internet Group. They're the company behind the USDC stablecoin, which has really become, a major piece of the digital economy infrastructure. And our main question today, the one we're trying to figure out is Circle Internet Group a good time to buy right now? Before we get into the numbers and the core business, please do take a second to subscribe, like this discussion, and maybe leave a comment below. Oh, and if there's a specific company you want us to look into next time, definitely let us know in the comments.
Right. And to really get a handle on Circle, you need to understand the environment they're in. It's this really complex, kind of volatile space where blockchain tech meets, regulated finance. So we're not just looking at a regular tech firm here. This is almost like a monetary utility. It requires this very, very careful financial balancing act.
Okay, let's unpack that. Starting with the good news, the growth figures look impressive based on our sources. Circle reported, what was it, a 15.57% revenue increase in 2024 compared to the year before. It jumped from about $1.45 billion to $1.68 billion. That seems like pretty solid demand.
It absolutely is. And that demand is really proven out by their main product, USDC. We saw like a 90% jump year over year in its circulation. It hit $61.3 billion. That puts them right at the top of the stablecoin market. What's really interesting is how that scale actually, turns into revenue for them.
Right, because for listeners maybe not as familiar, this isn't like selling software, is it? How does just holding $61 billion in circulation actually make money for Circle?
Yeah, that's the crucial question. Essentially, Circle acts like a very sophisticated treasury manager. They don't make money primarily by lending out the stablecoins like a bank might. Their revenue comes from the interest, the yield they earn on the reserve assets backing USDC. So think, safe stuff like T-bills, cash equivalents. The more USDCs out there, the more reserves they hold, and, well, the more yield they can potentially collect. That's the core revenue engine.
Okay, so with 61 billion earning yield, you'd think, wow, massive profits should be rolling in. So why then did the company actually see a big drop in earnings in 2024, even with that amazing revenue growth? This sounds like that profitability squeeze you mentioned.
Exactly. That's the balancing act right there. While the growth revenue from that yield is strong, the costs of actually scaling this thing up are just astronomical. You're seeing huge expenses for building out the tech infrastructure, getting compliant with regulations everywhere, which is complex, and really importantly, building those big institutional partnerships. They're aiming for long-term dominance, but yeah, the upfront cost is really steep.
And we saw a really clear, almost startling example of this in the Q2 earnings data. They pulled in strong revenues, over $657 million, but then reported this just staggering operating loss of around $482 million. I mean, that's not a small number. That's the real cost of this hypergrowth phase.
It really is. It's the price of admission, you could say, for trying to build the standard in a totally new, very competitive financial space. They're effectively spending, $500 million in a quarter to gain market share and, crucially, regulatory legitimacy. So now the company is saying they're laser focused on operational efficiency, managing costs, signaling they want to shift from just grabbing users to actually improving the bottom line. That's the pivot investors really need to watch. So, okay, with those kinds of losses, the obvious question is, can they actually keep this up? Is the underlying financial health strong enough?
Well, fortunately, the sources we're looking at suggest the foundation is actually pretty solid.
Analyses point to robust liquidity and overall financial stability. It seems they do have the capacity to fund these growth plans for a while without immediate danger. That gives them runway, to make this profitability shift work.
That's good to hear because the stock price itself has been, well, a real roller coaster. It definitely highlights the volatility here. I mean, you look at the 52-week range, it goes from a low of $64 all the way up to nearly $300. That's quite a ride. Right now, it seems to be trading sort of in the $145 to $150 range, so maybe some positive momentum lately.
Yeah, and that volatility, that underlying tension between growth and profit, it's perfectly mirrored in what the analysts are saying. The overall consensus right now is a pretty cautious hold. But what's really telling is just how wide the price targets are. You've got some analysts down at like $83, seeing mostly risk, while others are way up at $250, seeing huge potential. That's a massive difference.
Wow. Yeah, that kind of split really shows the debate on Wall Street, doesn't it? It's like
Right.
half of them see USDC potentially becoming the dominant digital dollar and think the valuation could be huge eventually. But the other half are clearly spooked by that $482 million quarterly loss and the immediate challenge of turning profitable.
That sums it up perfectly. You saw big names like Goldman Sachs, JMP Securities starting coverage, kind of reflecting that cautious optimism. And even firms that lean bullish, like Robert W. Baird, they recently trimmed their price target a bit from $210 down to $185.
Hmm?
It feels like a moment of, okay, show us the money now.
Hmm.
Institutional investors do seem to still be interested, which is a positive sign this so-called smart money is still around. But the average analyst is basically saying, prove you can make this profitable consistently before we jump to a buy.
So it's less about does the product work, because that 90% growth suggests it definitely does, and more about when does the business model start generating real profit.
Right. And if we look at the bigger picture, some external factors are actually starting to de-risk things a bit. The biggest shadow hanging over stablecoins has always been regulatory uncertainty. But we've actually seen some real progress there with the passage of the U.S. Genius Act.
The Genius Act, okay, sounds impressive, but what does that actually mean for Circle in practical terms? How does it change things?
Oh, it's critical. It provides the first real comprehensive national guidance for stablecoins in the U.S. That's huge. It's not just about general legitimacy. It basically puts USDC on a clear, federally recognized path towards much wider institutional adoption. It makes it easier, safer for big banks, traditional finance firms to partner with them, something that was kind of a gray area before. That regulatory clarity is a real advantage for Circle over maybe less regulated competitors.
That makes sense. That differentiation is key. And we actually saw a hint of that institutional strategy paying off back in September, didn't we? The stock jumped after they announced that strategic partnership with Interactive Brokers. That felt like a big step into more mainstream finance.
Absolutely. That partnership is really important because it points towards how they can improve margins over time. See, every time they sign up a large institutional partner like that, the cost of acquiring and servicing each dollar of USDC potentially goes down. They get scale, efficiency. It starts chipping away at that big operating loss number we saw in Q2.
Okay, so things are moving. Now let's talk timing. What are the key dates or events investors should be watching out for? It sounds like there's some urgency here. The Q3 earnings release set for October 28th, 2025. That seems like the first really big test of this margin improvement story, right?
Definitely. All eyes will be on that report, not just for the usual USDC growth numbers, which frankly we expect will still be strong, but crucially, for any sign that the operating loss is shrinking. Is that $482 million figure starting to come down meaningfully? That's the key question. And there's another earnings report apparently scheduled for November 23rd, so the pressure stays on through year end.
Okay, Q3 and Q4 earnings are critical checkpoints. What else is on the near-term horizon? We've got other market events listed here that could, create some waves for the stock. The major ETF rebalancing event on November 15th. How might that impact things?
Well, if Circle's weighting changes significantly in key tech or finance ETFs, it could force large index funds to buy or sell the stock, potentially causing, unusual price movement around that date.
Yeah.
Something to be aware of.
Got it. And then December 2nd, the institutional 13F filings disclosure. Why is that important?
That's when major investment funds have to reveal their holdings from the previous quarter. So it'll show us if big institutions were actually buying into Circle during Q3. Seeing big funds increase their positions would be a strong vote of confidence in that long-term story we've been discussing. It confirms appetite.
Okay. And finally, there's always the speculative stuff, the rumors swirling around. There's been market chatter, apparently, about late-stage talks with a, quote, major tech platform to integrate USDC for payments. That sounds like it could be huge if true.
Oh, it would be a massive game changer. Instant mass market adoption potential there. And even more speculative but interesting is talk about Circle potentially being involved in some kind of pilot program with the Federal Reserve on Fed stable settlement rails. Now, that's just speculation. But if USDC were somehow chosen for core financial system plumbing like that, it would be an enormous validation and dramatically reduce future risk. Longer term, you're also likely looking at potential M&A, maybe Circle acquiring smaller blockchain tech firms to expand its reach.
So putting it all together, you've got clear market leadership with USDC, some positive regulatory movement, potential big catalysts on the horizon. But it's all sort of balanced against this urgent need to prove they can execute operationally and turn profitable while navigating the ongoing risks in the broader crypto and regulatory space. All right, let's try to synthesize this. What does it all mean for someone considering an investment? The analysts have a hold consensus, which sounds cautious. But based on our discussion, factoring in that USDC growth and the regulatory progress, we're leaning towards, an 8 out of 10 bullish rating overall?
Yeah, I think that captures the balance. It suggests the stock could appeal right now to maybe two types of investors. You've got the shorter term traders, perhaps playing these upcoming catalysts, the earnings reports, the institutional positioning revealed in December. And then you have the longer term investors looking to capture this big structural shift towards stablecoins, underpinned by things like the Genius Act. But near-term performance is absolutely going to depend on how well they execute, especially in that upcoming Q3 earnings report.
Okay, and let's leave our listeners with a final thought to chew on. We know Circle has achieved massive scale and adoption with USDC. That part seems clear. But their long-term success really hinges on translating that scale and the yield from those reserves into sustained operating profit and positive cash flow, basically, reversing that huge Q2 loss. So considering the high costs of compliance and winning market share in this space, what do you think is the single biggest hurdle for them in the next 6 months? Is it continuing that rapid adoption, or is it proving they can significantly improve those profitability margins? Something to consider. Thanks for joining us for this look into Circle Internet Group. We'll catch you next time for another exploration of the markets.